Hi, Jenni here, and it's already time for what I read in March video. And this time I read 5 books. I have broken the curse of 4 books a month. Yay! And interestingly enough, I had 2 celebrity book club books this month, as well as both of them are non-fiction. So let's just get into it. The first book I want to talk about is Tove Jansson's Reilua peliä, which I think in English was Fair Play or Fair Game. And I read this for my Tove Jansson reading challenge that I have going on here on my channel, for which I read 2 Moomin books by Tove Jansson and 2 non-Moomin fiction books by Tove Jansson. Reilua peliä is about Jonna and Mari, who are a couple and they are both artists. It's a short story, a novella, and it kind of shows different moments from their relationship, from, their travels, them both working as artists, and it has taken some inspiration from Tove Jansson's own life. I really liked this one. I went deeper in my Tove Jansson reading challenge video, so I highly recommend that you go watch that one too. The next book I read was Roxane Gay's Bad Feminist. This was released in 2014, and I read it because it was the Service 95 book club choice for the month of March. I've enjoyed a lot of the book club choices, so I had high expectations for this book as well. It's a collection of essays, and all of them, well, not all of them, but basically they discuss feminism, racism, misogyny, and Roxane Gay's personal experiences as well as media. And I do have to say that I was a little bit disappointed by this book. Some essays that discussed racism and reproductive rights and sexual assault, they were really poignant, they were engaging and very intriguing and so well written. I found them really engaging. But a lot of this book is focused on media portrayals and pop culture, which is fine, but when you have the book titled Bad Feminist and no subtitle, there was no reference to this book being focused on pop culture and media specifically. And while I understand that some of the media that Roxane Gay discusses, like, it's not just about the media, it's about a theme that continues to this day. But some of the examples that she used were pretty outdated. For example, there was a long essay about 50 Shades of Grey. Now, it could be applied to today, with books that are from that genre as well. But I just kept thinking, like, when she kept recounting the plot and character analysis for 50 Shades of Grey, I just kept thinking, this is so 2014, this is so outdated, I could not care less. I did watch Dua Lipa's interview with Roxane Gay, and there were so many interesting moments in that interview, but still it didn't really change my opinion on the book. Some essays, excellent, but most of them outdated, didn't feel relevant. I just wish that the name of the book would have reflected on the fact that this book focuses a lot on pop culture and media. The next book I read was one both by Jonathan Buckley, and this tells the story of Teresa, who visited an unnamed Greek town after her dad passed away 9 years ago. And now 9 years later, after her mother passes away, she goes to that town again. And there are all the same people, locals, that lived there when she visited last time. So this book shares what Teresa experienced on both of those trips and the discussions that she had with locals and fellow travelers. Some of the conversations that Teresa has with other characters are really interesting and reflective and deeply impacted me. I do think that this book was well written, but it just didn't completely capture me. I didn't think Teresa was an intriguing enough of a main character for me. So I think this as a reading experience was not bad, but not like excellent either. Next, I read Just Kids by Patti Smith, which recounts Patti Smith's early days in New York in her 20s and when she meets Robert Mapplethorpe, and the book follows their relationship and how their connection changes and develops and intensifies, but also completely changes throughout their early 20s, and how they both want to become artists. Robert, a visual artist, Patti, more so a poet. And it ends with the passing of Robert Mapplethorpe from AIDS. I'm sorry if that spoiled that book. This was so well written. I was so enamored and engaged with the text. I've never been to New York, but I could feel the atmosphere of the New York that is described here during the 60s and 70s, and like the type of circles that they were part of, and them trying to struggle to get meals, and them going through jobs and just, trying to make it in New York. And obviously they ultimately did. They also have challenges in their own relationship because Robert, while he absolutely loves Patti, he is gay, but he's not really fully embracing that part of himself, at least in the beginning of the book. I just loved how Patti Smith wrote this. Obviously an excellent writer. You don't need me to tell that to know that. And I'm sad that it took me this many years to read this. This was released in 2010. And it was just really beautifully written. I read this for the Laufey book club, but this has also been featured in Service 95 book club as well. No wonder, it's an excellent book. And after finishing this book, I watched Dua Lipa's interview with Patti Smith, where they further discuss being in New York when they're young, and kind of how Patti Smith's goal with this book was to share their story together, not so much about her artistic development or how she became an artist, like a singer, because she had made a promise to Robert that she would tell their story, and that Patti's goal was to always keep love at the center of this book, and I definitely could feel that. This was absolutely excellent. It did take me over 10 days to get through this. I don't know why, because it was so well written. Okay, BTS had a comeback. Excellent comeback, by the way. So that took my attention for a little bit. But I loved this book. It was incredible. The last book I read in month of March is Kotileikki by Natalia Kallio. This has not been translated into English. This tells the story of the main character Rebecca in two timelines. One where she is a child and goes into her teenage years, and then the second one is her about to turn 30. This was released in 2022. And I read this for the book club that is arranged locally in my town, that is about reading about society. And the major theme in this book and the plot overall is that Rebecca is raised by a single mother. Her parents divorce when she is a child, and her life is heavily impacted by the poverty they go through, the alcoholism in her family, unemployment, financial instability, and all of those things are part of her life growing up, and then they continue on her adult life, and how she ends up in a relationship that isn't really romantic, but she's too scared to let go of it because that would mean she would lose some financial stability that she does have. I read this in 2 days. It's very easy to read. The chapters are short, and I thought the character of Rebecca was really interesting, and it discussed these themes of poverty and societal isolation that are very present in Finnish society. This was released in 2022, but I feel like this is even more relevant now. I think what was really interesting to me that while reading this, I felt like I was watching a TV show from the early 2000s in Finland. And yeah, I thought this was a really good reading experience, and I can't wait to discuss this in the book club. Alright, those were my March books that I read. I think I had an overall a good reading month. I like to participate in the Service 95 book club reads, and this laufey book club read was new to me, but I liked it as well. I absolutely loved it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more videos about books and pop culture overall, subscribe to my channel. If you want to see book reviews from me, follow me on Instagram at jenskosmos. See you in the next one. Bye!